ज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनाशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरुवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूप कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकम्। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरो श्रीयुतपदकमलं श्रीगुरुं वैष्णवांश श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सहगना रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवम् श्रीराधा कृष्ण पदान् सहगना ललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश नमः ॐ विष्णुपादाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामिन्निति नामिने। नमस्ते सारस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देश तारिणे। हे कृष्णा करुणा सिंधु दीनबंधु जगतपते गोपेश गोपिका कांत राधा कांत नमस्तुते। तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये। वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद। हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। Hare Krishna. Welcome to the Sri Harinam Chintamani series every Saturday and Sunday morning. We are on the 15th chapter, and practically we are discussing how to attain perfection in our bhajan and attain the Lord. The prayojan has been discussed quite elaborately. And yesterday's class, if you remember, we had the discussion of how by attaining the state of chanting where one attains into rasa, he is seeing the wonderful pastimes of the Lord in the spiritual world, and he attains his spiritual form, Siddha Deha, and enters into the pastimes of the Lord in the association of the Sakis, Radha's Gopis friends. And who is Radharani? Mahabhava Swarupini. And one engages in the loving service of Srimati Radharani. And Ujjvala Ras is what Bhaktivinoda Thakur is discussing, because that is the highest rasa. Jaya Jaya Ujjvala Rasa Sarva Rasa Sar Parakiya Bhave Brajete Prachar. And attaining the spiritual form in the spiritual world as one of the assistants of Srimati Radharani, being under the command of the Sakis, one serves the divine couple, and in this way one is, plunged in the ocean of nectar of great love, Krishna Bhakti. And the practice of sadhana, we attain perfection, siddhi. And then the subtle body is destroyed and one attains true spiritual perfection. So yesterday we discussed how The subtle body is completely destroyed at the stage of bhava, and one spiritual body is revealed at the stage of bhava, and one spiritual rasa with Krishna is also revealed. The practice of that bhakti, which is called as Raganuga Bhakti, begins from Nishta, Asakti, Nishta, Ruchi, Asakti, and at Bhava, it matures fully. And then this is, you cannot describe the stage of Bhava, it is only to be experienced. And this is the Ujjvala Ras by which we attain Krishna Prema Dhan. So in the next verse 58 mentioned the 11 items to enter into the spiritual world. You want to catch a flight, you need a ticket. You need to wear a particular, you need a ticket. So the ticket to enter the spiritual world is the Ekadasha Bhav. The Ekadasha Bhav, yesterday we discussed one's relationship, age, name, form, group, garments, command, home, service, highest aspiration, and gopi patterns. All these are revealed. And now, how this Ekadasha Bhav we attain? I mentioned yesterday that we will not be going into the elaborate details of the Ekadasha Bhav, but how to practice that sadhana, that Panchadasha. We go through this Panchadasha. Ekadasha Bhava Sampurna Sadhane Panchadasha Lakshe Hoya Sadhaka Jivana. So you go through this Panchadasha. And what was that Panchadasha? We also discussed the Ramanand Rai verses, if you remember, how one attains this mood of serving Radha and Krishna from the Chaitanya Charitamrita. Now, how you go through these Panchadashas by which we can attain this Ekadasha, this Ekadasha Bhav. Ekadasha Bhav is the 11 items of our spiritual identity by which we can enter into the pastimes. Although this subject matter is very lofty, we are discussing, but yesterday I reminded all of us that pastimes, entering the pastimes means first Nama, Rupa, Guna, Leela. Many years we have to just focus on the hearing the Mahamantra. And when we hear attentively, the mantra enters the ears, goes to the heart and cleanses the heart, and Chaito Darpan margin happens. And like that, when we do this concentrated chanting for many years, when we do this sadhana and our sadhana becomes mature, paripakva, then automatically when you take the name, the form, the beautiful form of Krishna will come in the mind, the pure mind. And then Krishna's name you take, his wonderful qualities immediately, spring in the consciousness of that devotee. Like Uddhav, Kamva Dayalu Sharanam, he's speaking about the wonderful qualities. And after you have done through these stages, Nama, Rupa, Guna, then Leela, how to enter into the Leela? You need this Ekadasha Bhav. Now, how to go through that progression? This is more practical for us. How to go through that progression is the Panchadasha. And yesterday you all answered what are the Panchadashas. In attaining the 11 items, the aspirant devotee passes through 5 stages. And what are the dashas? Shravana Varana Ara Smarana Apana Sampati Ei Panchavida Dashasya Ganana. There are 5 states. Dasha. Shravana, Varana, Smarana, Apana, Sampati. Shravana is hearing, Varan is accepting, Smaran is meditating, Apan is attaining, and Sampati is the good fortune. We attain the good fortune. Now, again, there is a footnote here. So first we'll go through the footnote and then we'll go to the first state today. Now, let us see the footnote. In striving to attain these 11 items, the aspiring devotee passes through 5 stages. So I mentioned that Ekadasha Bhav, to attain, you have to go through these 5 stages. These 5 stages are Shravana, Dasha. I mentioned yesterday, Dasha it is, not Dasha or Dasa. Dasa means servant. Dasha means the number 10. Dasha means state. It is Dasha. A is long A. Dasha it is. Varana Dasha, the stage of accepting. Smarana Dasha, the stage of meditating. Apana Dasha, the stage of attaining. And Sampati Dasha, the stage of good fortune. Ramanand Rai explains Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita Madhya 8:20 to 22. So again, here also Ramanand Rai's explanation was there in 8:228 to 230. Now again in these two verses, 220, 221 and 222 to discuss. So let us now directly go to Chaitanya Charitamrita and see 220. Okay. Say gopi bhavamrite yandra lobahoy Veda dharma lokateji say Krishna bhajay. Say that Gopi Bhav, Bhavamrita, the nectar of ecstasy, Yandra Loba, one has developed deep attachment or greed for it. Hoy, one who has Veda Dharma Lokateji, he has to give up the Vidhi Marg and practice the Raga Marg or the Raganuga Bhakti. Say Krishna Bhaja and render service. One who is attracted by the ecstatic love of the gopis does not care about the popular opinion or the regulatory principles of Vedic life. But yesterday I mentioned, so sadhakas also have to practice Vaidhi sadhana bhakti, and after the stage of anarth nivritti, then one can take up to Raganuga bhakti. And Raganuga bhakti is impelled by lobh, intense greed to cultivate that same mood what the eternal associates of Vrindavan have. If somebody has the mood of Madhurya, then he has an intense greed to have the mood of the gopis of Vrindavan. He wants to follow their footsteps, the Ragatmika Bhaktas, the eternal associates, and he starts practicing in his bhakti, following in their footsteps. That's why it is called as Raganuga Bhakti. Rather, he completely surrenders unto Krishna and renders service to them. Say Krishna Bhaje. He surrenders to Krishna and service. Okay, this is the path of Raganuga. I just had mentioned and some of the verses here. Raganuga marge yanra bhaje ejan sejan paye vraje Rajendra Nandan. Raganuga. Raga means spontaneous. Anuga means following in the footsteps, spontaneous attachment. Now, I don't know whether we should discuss the spontaneous. I'll make a point here. The spontaneous devotees are the eternal associates of Vrindavan, the gopis, the gopas, the elderly gopas and the gopis, the friends of Krishna, the servants of Krishna. They practice spontaneous devotion towards Krishna. And please note that Raganuga Bhakti in one sense is not spontaneous devotion towards Krishna. Note this point. Raganuga Bhakti is not spontaneous devotion towards Krishna. Then what is Raganuga Bhakti then? Spontaneity is towards what? Anyone would like to answer? Spontaneity is towards what then? Virendra Yadav Prabhuji, yes.
It's a Prabhuji following Ragatmika Bhakta.
Yes.
With Ragatmika.
Yes, yes. This is the most important. They have developed spontaneity to follow the Ragatmika Bhaktas. This is very important for us to understand. They have spontaneity to follow the Ragatmika Bhaktas. This we have to have a very clear understanding. Otherwise, we will miss this point. Okay, 1 minute. I want to show you the slide from Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu so that we have a clear understanding of this concept. Just a second, I'm just opening the slides. Yes. Yes, I will just discuss this definition so that you have a clear understanding of it. So in the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu 270 it is mentioned, Virajantim abhivektam Vrajavasi janadishu Ragatmikam anusrutya Yasa Raganugacchate. Raganuga Bhakti is defined as Sa Raganuga Uchate, that Bhakti which follows after the Ragatmika Bhakti. Ragatmikam Anusrityaya. Simple definition. Raganuga means that Bhakti which follows the Ragatmika. The Ragatmika are the eternal associates of Krishna. Following that footsteps, that Bhakti which is practiced is Raganuga. And this Ragatmika Bhakti found distinctively Virajantim Abhivattam in the inhabitants of Vraja. Vrajavasi Janadishu. It is only found in the Vraj, not in Mathura or Dwarka. They don't have spontaneity. There is Vaidi there. They all understand that Krishna is God, but nobody in Vrindavan accepts Krishna as God. That's the difference. Okay. Now here I mentioned we practice sadhana bhakti. First, we practice the Vaidi sadhana bhakti, which is governed by rules, Vaidi rules, and that is devotion to Krishna. But as we cross the Anarth Nivritti, there is spontaneous now attraction to follow the eternal associates. We start the Raganuga Bhakti, practice them. And in the Raganuga Bhakti, there is no spontaneous pivot towards Krishna. There is spontaneity to follow the Ragatmika Bhaktas. So the standard example is given of somebody is practicing cricket. He goes to a coach and the coach tells how to hold the bat, how to hit the stroke, what direction he should move the bat, all this. So his practice in the net is more governed by the rules of how to hold the bat, how to, and when you want to hit that direction, how you have to make the bat inclined, all that. So learning like this from an expert trainer, he starts watching videos of Sachin Tendulkar. And he is now attracted to Sachin Tendulkar. The way he, is actually doing that because he has learned the art and he's doing it spontaneously. He doesn't, know much, oh, now let me turn the bat in this angle. It happens spontaneously for him. So now watching the videos of Sachin Tendulkar, now this person who's getting training, now he's no more, following the rules, but he's directly following the example of Sachin Tendulkar and he's becoming expert. So similarly, we follow the eternal associates and practice spontaneity. So spontaneity is towards the eternal associates to follow. That is what is lobe. And then there is devotion to Krishna. The Ragatmika Bhaktas are the eternal associates of Krishna. They practice Raga Bhakti. So in that sense, Raganuga is not in spontaneity directly towards Krishna, but spontaneity towards the eternal associates. So this was a very important point, and I thought I should mention, and that's why. Okay. Let us see the purport of Prabhupada. In all, there are 64 items listed in renderings of service unto Krishna. And these are the regulative principles enjoyed in Shastra and given by spiritual masters. See, Prabhupada is so practical. Forget all this Raganuga Bhakti. First, practice the 64 limbs of devotion, Vaidhi Bhakti. One has to serve Krishna according to these regulative principles. Has to. You cannot directly jump to practice Raganuga Bhakti. Then you'll make a big jump and fall down. There are many deviant groups, especially here in Vrindavan. They say, you need not practice Vaidhi. Just you spontaneously start, doing devotion and remembrance of Krishna. No, it's not possible. It requires purity of heart to practice Raganuga Bhakti, where one is spontaneously able to remember Krishna and is able to internally go in his bhajan. It requires tremendous purity of the heart. And Anarth Nivritti, you should have crossed the stage of Anarth Nivritti. So one has to practice very meticulously the Vaidhi rules and regulations of sadhana bhakti. But if one develops spontaneous love for Krishna as exhibited in the activities of those who live in Rajabhumi, As this verse we quoted from the Bhakti Rasamrit Sindhu, when one attains that spontaneity, purity of the heart, then one attains the platform of Raganuga Bhakti. One who has developed this spontaneous love is eligible for elevation to the platform enjoyed by the inhabitants of Vrajbhumi. So, only say jane paye Vraj. Only those who practice Ragana Bhakti can attain Vraj and Vrindavan Krishna. So my question to all of you is that in this life we'll take, if we all practice sadhana bhakti and don't come to the point where we develop that intense lobe, greed, to follow in the eternal associates of Vrindavan, the Ragatmika Bhaktas, will we attain Krishna? Who would like to answer? Will we attain Krishna or no? Yes, Mataji.
No, Prabhuji.
Why?
Because Laulya means intense greed is the prerequisite for attaining Krishna. And if you don't have the intense greed, you cannot reach Krishna.
Yes, intense greed is required to practice Raganuga Bhakti. And if somebody doesn't come to the point of Raganuga Bhakti, he cannot attain. Because this Rag Marg is only exclusive in Golok, Vrindavan, and nowhere else. And nowhere else it is there, not in Dwarka, Vaikunta, or Mathura. So that's why Prabhupada is saying that one has to come to this. In Vrajbhumi, there are no regulated principles set forth for Krishna service. Rather, everything is carried out in spontaneous, natural love for Krishna. Not this point, natural love. We also sometimes spontaneously, come up with some idea. We are just sitting and doing our sadhana. Okay, let's go. Outskirts of the city and have some, whatever, some mangoes, or have something which is available, in the outskirts of the city. So we are right now doing what? Spontaneous sense gratification. Spontaneous sense gratification. From that level, we have to come to regulated devotional service. We follow the rules and regulations very, very meticulously. And from that level of regulated devotional service comes spontaneous devotional service, where there is pure love. We have love now for sense objects. We have to remember that. There is no question of following the principles of Vedic system. Such principles are followed within this material world. And as long as one is on the material platform, one has to execute them. However, spontaneous love of Krishna is transcendental. In fact, at the stage of Nishtha, one is a self-realized soul. One is situated on a transcendental level. And from there, the practice of Raganuga Bhakti starts. It may seem that the regulated principles are being violated, but the devotee is on the transcendental platform. Such service is called Gunatita, Nirgun, for it is not contaminated by the three modes. So I told you, he's a Sthita Pragya. He is on the stage of Nishtha. Nishtha stage is the stage of Sthita Pragya, self-realized. And from there, the internal cultivation of the spiritual body begins, by which we can attain those 11 Ekadasha Bhava, which was mentioned. Vrajaloke kono bhavalan ei bhaje bhavayog dehapan Krishna paye vraje. Vrajalokera, in the planet of Golok Vrindavan, kono bhavalan, he accepts some mood. A bhaje, and executes devotional service. Bhava yoga is suitable for that attraction. Deha. Now this Deha is spiritual body. Pan, getting. Krishna paye Vrajendranand. He'll attain Krishna. In his liberated stage, I mentioned that at the stage of Nishtha, one is liberated. He is free from the gross and subtle bodies. He is a self-realized soul. And now, From there, he now has to go to the spiritual world by practicing Raganuga Bhakti. The devotee is attracted to one of the five humors of transcendental loving service to Krishna. Among the five, the four are prominent in Golok. Dasya, Sakya, Vatsalya, and Madhurya. And among all, our line of Rupa Goswami is the Unnat Ujjvala Ras, Madhurya Ras of the Vraj Gopis. That is the highest which Mahaprabhu has come to give. As he continues to serve the Lord in that transcendental mood, he attains a spiritual body to serve Krishna in Golok Vrindavan. So I mentioned Deha here remains spiritual body. He attains a spiritual. The spiritual body development starts. So now many devotees ask this question, how will I come to know which mood I should accept? How will I come to know about it? Because he'll accept any of the five humors, but I mentioned specifically four. And then I mentioned specifically the Madhurya Rasa. But how will I come to know about this? So any thoughts about that? Any devotees? How will you come to know about your mood? Which mood? Anyone? Yes, Mataji.
I'll try, Prabhuji. Actually, when we do our devotional services, our priorities means we find interest in some sevas, particular sevas. So that can decide our
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Yeah.
That can decide our role.
Okay. Any other thoughts anyone has? Anyone? Anyone has any other thoughts about it? Okay. Oh, many have raised their hands. Yes. Okay. Satanand Chaitanya Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, Dandavat Pranam. My understanding, one way is that we can see how much of the 10 offenses we are able to avoid.
No. My question is that it is mentioned that one will follow a particular mood of the eternal associates of Vrindavan in practice of Raganuga Bhakti. So how will I know what is my mood? How will come to know that this is my mood? Got the point?
Yes, Prabhu, I got the point.
Yeah. So what do you feel?
No idea, Prabhu.
Okay. Very sincere and honest. There was another hand which was raised. Anyone else would like to share their thoughts about this? Anyone else? Okay, Vikram Prabhuji, yes.
Hello, Prabhuji. I think, Prabhuji, at the stage of Raganuga Bhakti, Krishna inspires or not inspires. He enlightens us with our true nature, which is hidden.
Yes, that's true. Okay, that is one. Yes, Amal Bhakti Rani Mataji. I have 1 minute today. Okay, there's no response. Okay, Niranjan Prabhuji, I would like to hear from you also.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji Dandavat. Hare Krishna Prabhu Dandavat. Prabhu, you are hearing my voice, Prabhu?
Yes.
Prabhu, by the mercy of our spiritual master, we can understand which mood we are having.
Not really exactly. It is there, that is there, a factor, but the main factor is something else. Okay, so now I'll show you the verse from Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. Tat tad bhavadi madhurya shrute diryad apekshate Natra shastram na yuktim cha tallobapatti lakshanam. Lakshanam means symptoms. The appearance of that greed, whether I have that Raganaga greed, first let me see, is indicated. How it is indicated? When the intelligence does not depend. Yad dhir na apekshate, on rules of the scriptures and logic. Shastram na yuktim cha. After realizing to some degree the sweetness of their inhabitants of Raj, love, through the process of hearing from the scriptures. Tat tad bhava madhurya shrut. The sweetness of the Vrajvasi is pure love for Krishna. Hearing from the Srimad Bhagavatam, especially the 10th canto. Oh, sorry. Yeah. Yes. So we hear the pastimes and we are attracted to that sweetness. And there is greed, and there is a decrease in scriptural regulation and more spontaneity to follow those eternal associates. So it's basically the hearing of the pastimes. And Prabhupada explains in one Chaitanya Charitamrita purport, that's one constitution, for a particular mood is revealed through hearing. That when we hear, especially Krishna's pastimes with the Gopas, that is very attractive to our heart and very attracted and want to emulate or do service in the footsteps of the Gopas. Or when we hear the pastimes of the Gopis of Vrindavan, and we want to emulate that the Gopis, and that's why we want to follow in the footsteps of the Gopis and the other Ragatmika Bhaktas. Similarly, when we hear about the Vatsalya Bhav, Krishna's Bal pastimes, Bal Leela. So when we hear those pastimes, they are very attractive, and everyone in their constitution, in their heart, they can understand, oh, I'm attracted to these pastimes. And we repeatedly read those pastimes and we relish those pastimes. So either the Vatsalya pastimes or the Sakya pastimes or the Madhuri, when we repeatedly hear from the elevated souls, we repeatedly study them, then there is a natural spontaneity and attraction towards those pastimes, and we want to, practice devotion, cultivating those moods what the eternal associates have. Then, we are qualified, we have that grade, and the spiritual master sees it, and you have discussion with the spiritual master. Spiritual master gives an approval to practice that mood. So, and then there is a little internal cultivation and a long journey for us to, practice Raganuga sadhana, by which we can ultimately go deep into our internal meditation of japa and develop the spiritual body where we attain perfection at bhava. So that state is the 5 dashas you go through. Now we will be discussing quite in detail the 5 dashas, but I'm going very slowly here because you need to know these things. So there was one question which I will take up now. Yes, Satanam Chaitanya Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, and Pranam, I need a clarification. Now, understanding the essence of the meaning of this shloka, how can we differentiate that this is actual progress and not just my mental sense gratification?
Oh, very good, very good. First of all, I would like to say that we sadhakas who are practicing bhakti will not go into the details, but we are just doing some core practices of hearing and chanting and 4 regulative principles. At other times, our consciousness is absorbed in karma or some action in this world, our worldly duties or work or job, so many things. But Ananya Bhakti means, it is full surrender and na anya. Ananyas chintayanto mam, as Krishna says. There is no other chintan except me. That kind of devotion is pure devotion or Uttama Bhakti. Now, how do we know that it is not just a mental speculation? There are many things or many, the Shastras are very pakka. very clear. There's a check and balance system. When we attain the stage of Nishtha, there are 5 symptoms of one who has attained Nishtha. And by that symptoms, you can understand everything is known by Lakshanas. Anarth Nivriti has happened. Anarth Nivriti has happened means there's no desire for sense gratification. 2.755 to 72 in the Bhagavad Gita mention the symptoms of a Sthita Pragya. So that is same applicable for one who is in Nishtha also. There is no desire for sense gratification there. And you can understand that. Nobody need not tell you that, you have advanced in Krishna. You will come to know on your own. In Nishtha, the 5 symptoms are Laya, Vikshepa, Apratipatti, Kashaya and Rasaswad. Laya means sleep. So sleep is more during chanting, a little less, you are more likely to sleep in chanting, little less likely in hearing Krishna Katha, and less likely that you'll sleep when there is Kirtan. So progressively, when you hear the holy name, you have so much spontaneity and attraction that, where is sleep? You will whole night be sometimes chanting. So there is no laya. Vikshepa means no distraction. Nothing can distract you from your hearing. Hearing the Bhagavatam class, there's some noise coming, your consciousness will go there. Because the consciousness is not still pure. Otherwise, there is no distraction. Your consciousness is just flowing towards the katha. Apratipatti means, there is no distraction, there is no sleep, but still you are not able to focus on the katha because still, the rajas tamas is there in the heart. And then Kashaya means you don't have these bad qualities like anger, exhibiting anger, or all these other qualities are not there. And Rasaswad means there is no, subtle sense gratification also within you. Ras aswad, mundane sense gratification, no aswadan. So like that, these symptoms are there, and the spiritual master can see that you have these symptoms, and then it is spontaneous. There is no much material attraction at the stage of Nishtha. There is more spiritual attraction, and that's why now you are qualified. It's a matter of adhikar. Everything needs adhikar, and that adhikar comes with the elevation of Krishna consciousness. Is it clear, Prabhuji?
Yes, bro. So everything is based on lakshans, right?
Yes, everything is based on lakshana.
It's like a checklist and parameter we have.
Yes. Even bhava stage also, there are 9 symptoms of one who is on bhava. So just by seeing that, you can understand whether one is in bhava or no. But of course, this is for only personal evaluation, not for judging others. We cannot understand others. It takes one to know one, they say. Okay.
Thank you, bro. Very well.
Okay. Now let us go to the Panchadashas. I discussed these 3 verses because Bhaktivinoda Thakur is quoting, but our main topic now is this Pancha Dashas, the first state, Shravana Dasha. Now, very important. How many of you are really eager to know these 5 states by which we can attain perfection? Let us see. Okay, only 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. What about others? Others are there in the class or no? Niranjan, why you have not raised your hand? Praveen. Okay. Yes, everyone is eager. You have to pay a huge price for it. You'll have to pay a price for me also for revealing it. Just joking. Okay. You can lower your hands. Okay. So I will discuss now this first state today. And in the next classes, we will discuss. In fact, the whole discussion in Harinam Chintamani is going to go through these 5 states now. Nijapeksha Shreshta Shuddha Bhavuk E Jana Bhavamarga Gurudev Seima Jana. Correct? What is the translation for this? Oh, there is no translation for the text 61. Even I am today saying this. And I don't know what this means. Without the translation, it is difficult. Nija apeksha shreshta. There is no apeksha. Shuddha bhavaka ejane. They have a Shuddha bhavana. They are following the bhava marga or the raga marga, as it is said. Guru Deva Sehi Mahajan. So they follow the spiritual master and the great Mahajans in that land. So I exactly don't know this translation because somehow by mistake in this book, the 261 translation, 1561 translation is not mentioned. The next verse says, Tahara Shri Mukhe Bhava Tatvera Shravana Hoilo Shravana Dasha Hoya Prakatana. Okay. Nija Apeksha, they don't have any Apeksha, they are Shreshta, they are Shuddha Bhavakas, they have possessed Shuddha Bhav, and they are on the Bhav Marga, the Gurudevs and the Mahajans. You hear from them, hearing from the mouth of the pure-hearted spiritual master. So the quality of the spiritual master is given here in this verse. This is a little speculation, but I think it is a philosophical speculation, not a mental speculation. Nija Apeksha Shreshta Shuddha Bhava. So those who possess that pure Bhava, the exalted spiritual masters who are on the Bhava Marga, they are the Gurudevs and they are the Mahajans. So hearing from them, hearing from the mouth of the pure-hearted spiritual master, Tahara Shrimukha. Tahara refers to this previous verse. Tahara Shrimukhe. What do you hear? Bhava Tatvera Shravana, about the path of ecstatic love, Bhav Marg, for Lord Krishna is called Shravan Dasha, the stage of hearing. Hoila Shravana Dasha, Hoy Prakatana. The stage of Shravan Dasha will manifest. Now we'll unlock this secret. What is this Shravana Dasha? Yes. Now the whole discussion is going to be on this chart, and everyone should know this chart very carefully. So we saw yesterday this, and today also this Shravan Dasha, Varan Dasha, Smaran Dasha, Apan Dasha, Sampati Dasha. And within Smaran Dasha, there are these 5 sub-stages. So hearing from a Bhava Bhakta about the wonderful transcendental pastimes of Krishna, one attends the Shravan Dasha. Now, before I begin to discuss what is this Shravan Dasha, how many of you feel that we are in Shravan Dasha stage? One devotee has raised hand. 2. Okay. 3. Okay, fine. Let us hear from them. Okay, please keep your hands raised, and I would like to ask what makes you feel that. Yes, Mataji, Sunita Mataji, why do you feel you are in Shravan Dasha stage?
The affinity for hearing the scriptures from the sadhus or gurus.
Yes, okay. That is what makes you feel that you're in Shravan Dasha. Vikramji, yes.
We are in Shravan Dasha, that is why we are attending this class. In short, we are interested in hearing kathas from you, Krishna Katha.
Yeah, we are hearing so many other things also. You know, in our news we are hearing all material sounds. Okay, Amal Bhaktirani Mataji, what are your thoughts about this? That why we are in
Yes,
Shravan Dasha?
Prabhuji, I'm always trying to improve myself by hearing and absorbing and trying to imbibe whatever I've heard. So the kathas and everything.
Yeah. So
Helps.
for your all kind information, none of us are in Shravan Dasha. And I'll explain why it is so. Shravan Dasha is here. Okay. Now you can hear. Okay. Yes. Sorry. The 9 stages. See this chart very carefully. The 9 stages. I'm not able to see this. What it is. 1 second. Yeah. Okay, 1 second. I'm not able to see the title of the slide. Yes. The 9 stages of bhakti correlating to the 5 stages of Raganuga, Panchadasha. This Shraddha, Sadhu Sangha, Bhajan Kriya. So this Shravan during the Bhajan Kriya Nanat Nivati is actually unsteady hearing. It is unsteady hearing. And we'll not go into this topic of what is real Shraddha. Shraddha means pure faith. And to attain this stage also is a very elevated stage. So that is a separate discussion, but I will not go into it now. But just let us see about Shravan Dasha. Only when one comes to the stage of Nishta here, one comes to the stage of Nishta, then there is steady hearing. Then he is on the stage of Shravan Dasha. This is Shravan, but it is unsteady hearing. We, every day might be hearing the Bhagavatam class. We are having some natural attraction to hear Katha. But we are, hearing so many other sound vibrations that are also going in our chitta. But when one reaches a stage of Nishta, he, materials, vibrations don't enter his ear. It's only spiritual sound vibration which is entering. He's absorbed in only Bhagavatam day and night and nothing else. He is tuned to spiritual vibration and completely oblivious to the material sound vibration. So the material sound vibrations also which come, although it is material, for him it looks like spiritual. Now Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, that time the railways was introduced by the British. So when he used to hear the sound of that engine horn, he used to hear it as Krishna's flute and start running towards that direction. So you can understand how much, we are absorbed in material vibrations. Do we feel like that when we hear the sound of an engine, a rail engine, when it horns, we feel that is it a sound of a flute? No. So Shravan Dasha, we attain at the stage of Nishta, and from there, after Shravan Dasha, we attain the stage of Varan Dasha, where we become attached to Krishna Katha. When we become attached to Krishna Katha means we are not attached to anything else. We are not attached to hearing, news on our mobile or hearing any other thing. No other attachment except attachment to hearing Krishna Katha. Now, yeah, Shravan is hearing about the pastimes. So we are completely, this is the stages of Raganuga and after. Shravan is hearing about the pastimes of Krishna. And now Shravan Dasha means you have done all the hearing of the first 9 cantos, the 11th canto, the 12th canto, the 10th canto also. And you have read Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavatam, you have assimilated the teachings. And now your only focus is, because you have reached that stage, your focus is on only hearing Krishna's Leelas, pastimes of Krishna. And if you remember, when I was showing this slide from the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, Tat Tat Bhava Lipsunam, process of hearing from scriptures. This hearing specially refers to the Krishna Leelas, Krishna Leelas. You have attraction for hearing Krishna Leela. So now, we are hearing the philosophy and trying to understand the tattva. What this verse means, what that verse means in the Gita. Many years ago of our life in trying to understand the Gita. Why Krishna is asking, why Arjuna is asking this question in the 3rd chapter, in the 5th chapter, in the 18th chapter, what is the meaning of this verse? And we have to repeatedly hear the Bhagavatam, especially the philosophy of the first 5 cantos. And then up till 9 cantos. So all this hearing which we are trying to, understand the tattva, And when we have assimilated the tattva, then the rasa automatically manifests. When we realize the scriptures, then it is nectar for us. So that stage at Nishtha is real Shravan Dasha becomes. So that is what is the meaning of Shravan Dasha. It's very, very, emphatic and very evident from our discussion. So don't be under illusion that we are in the Shravan Dasha stage. We are hearing, but our hearing is now unsteady. Our bhajan is also unsteady. Anishtita bhajan kriya, we are at the stage. And in anishtita bhajan kriya, we are only practicing bhajan for only some time during the day. Other time of the day, our consciousness is absorbed in so many other things. But Ananya Bhakti means na anya. Ananyas chintayantam ye jana paripasate. But here, if you see what we are hearing about ecstatic love. We have not come to this point where we have we are absorbed in hearing the leelas of the Lord and we are just drawn. Of course, we all know by the mercy of Srila Prabhupada and his great teachers, whenever we come to yatras and hear the pastimes from very exalted souls, what kind of nectar we derive. But after the 5 days yatra is over, we go back in our world and we are absorbed in so many other vibrations. Okay, so any questions regarding this point? Anyone has? Oh, sorry. Any questions regarding this? About the Shravan Dasha? Any questions? Any clarifications? Is it clear that the Shravan Dasha is a very exalted stage? Yes, Virendra Yadav Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam. So Prabhuji, with this discussion, we can understand that until we are attracted to exclusively Krishna Katha and Krishna Leelas, we cannot say that we are in actual hearing stage. That is understanding.
We are not in the stage of Shravan Dasha. We are doing hearing, but our hearing is unsteady. Our hearing is unsteady. We hear Krishna Katha also, but we hear other sound vibrations also, and we are hearing so many other things, with our work, so many other things we are, even for full-time devotees who are, staying in the ashram, we hear the morning Bhagavatam class throughout the day. Are we in remembrance of Krishna? Because in Raganuga Bhakti, one of the limbs of Raganuga Bhakti is Smaranam. One is always remembering Krishna's pastimes, constantly throughout the day. Very, very elevated stage. So we are, we need to know what exactly is the goal to even come to practice Raganuga Bhakti and where we are, where we stand. And that's why, how many of us tell, frankly, if we ask, how many of us are ready if we, announce that leave everything for 5 days and just come in the holy dham of Vrindavan or Mayapur, and just from early morning, I mean early morning means 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock, I'm not doing it practically, to be honest. Just from early morning we'll chant, say 3 o'clock, 3:30, till morning, 9 o'clock. And then from that time onwards, we will hear Krishna Katha till 6 o'clock. And then after that, again, we'll chant till the late night, and then go to bed. How many of you will be ready? We know that, when we are hearing a 1 hour class, all our concentration, mind, so many thoughts are coming here and there. And we are looking at the mobile, we get distracted. So this is all unsteady hearing we are now. Unsteady hearing is going on. Yes, Prabhuji.
No, Prabhuji, I was just raising the hand. You were asking who will be there to come to Vrindavan for 5 days. In that regard, I was raising my hand.
Fine. Yes. Any other questions anyone has? Okay. Yeah. So I hope I'm clear about the Shravan Dasha. Now there is one verse in text 63, Bhava Tattva, the nature of ecstatic love. Bhava Tattva dui prakara kare vichar, nija ekadasha bhava Krishna Leela ar. Please note that the path of ecstatic love has two parts. Bhava Tattva dvi prakara kare vichar. It has two parts. The first part is the 11 items already mentioned, Ekadasha Bhav. The second part is Lord Krishna's pastimes. Krishna Leela are. Now, here you need to note two things, as I mentioned in the slide, that we come to the stage of Varan Dasha where we are given the Siddha Deha from the Guru. And we have some idea about it because we have developed that mood in Raghunaga Bhakti where we want to follow the Ragatmikas. And there is more absorption in chanting. A Madhyamadhikari means he's always absorbed in chanting. Nirantar Naam Le. He's always taking the holy name. That's what Chaitanya Mahaprabhu tells Sanatan Goswami, Rup Goswami, sorry. What is the symptom of a Madhyamadhikari? The Madhyamadhikari is always, okay, let me show you the verse, maybe it's here. Yeah, so that you are clear. This is Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu is the foremost guide for us to understand all these subjects. Yeah, 1 minute. Yes. Yeah, here is a definition of Madhyama, but I would like to see from yes. Madhyamadhikari. Krishna Nama Nirantar Yahara Vadane Se Vaishnava Shreshta Bhaje Tahara Charane. One person who is always chanting the holy names of Krishna. He is Vaishnava Shreshta. He is a Madhyamadhikari actually here. So he's always chanting, the names of Krishna. So at Varan Dasha, we have that 11 Ekadasha. And there is another aspect to it. That is what? Krishna's pastimes. We are more attracted to only hearing Krishna's pastimes. Tattva is completely solidified by years and years and years of study and hearing. Tattva has become clear. Now we are more interested in Leela. So to also come to this point of pastimes, I was mentioning how, there are these Nama, Rupa, Guna, Leela. So Nama, hearing the name attentively, many years when we practice, then only Rupa will manifest. I've been repeating this point because we have to understand the gravity of the subject. That, in your heart, just by taking Krishna's name, Krishna's picture comes in the mind. Because there is no other picture in the mind. Machitta, Krishna is saying, in the heart of my devotees, I reside. Madgata prana, they cannot live without me. That's why they bodhayanta parasparam. They speak about my glories. Kataschante maam nityam. Always nitya they are doing my katha. Tushyanti, they take pleasure, and ramanti. They are experiencing, their goal, prayojan of, now only it is so nitya and Krishna katha, what it will be in the future. So Leela, to come to that level where Naam will reveal Leela is a very, very elevated stage. So from there on, all this begins. Okay. So now in the next section, Krame Varana Dasha Prapti. So from Shravan Dasha, how gradually one comes to Varana Dasha, the state of acceptance, is what Rup Goswami is going to discuss. In the next class also, Bhaktivinoda Thakur has mentioned some additional things about Shravan Dasha, which I will put in the slides and we will discuss next week. So we will stop here now. Time is up. Any questions, any clarifications anyone has? Okay, so we'll stop here. Shri Harinam Chintamani ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur ki jai. Hare Krishna.